There are men whose lives are as mysterious as their deaths, their final acts as enigmatic as their words. Ambrose Bierce, the sharp-tongued journalist and author, was one such man. Known to many as Bitter Bierce, his wit was as cutting as a blade, his fascination with horror as deep as the void itself. But Bierce's greatest mystery is not in his stories, it's in his disappearance. Bierce was a Civil War veteran, a man who had stared death in the face many times. His experiences haunted his writing, which often explored the thin line between life and the beyond. His most famous tale, An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, remains one of literature's finest depictions of a mind unravelling at the moment of death. But by 1913, Bierce had grown bored of life in America. At the age of 71, he set his sights on Mexico, drawn by the chaos of Pancho Villa's revolution. His family begged him not to go, but Bierce, ever the cynic, dismissed their fears with his final letter to his cousin Laura. "Goodbye. If you hear of my being stood up against a Mexican stone wall and shot to rags, please know that I think that a pretty good way to depart this life. It beats old age, disease, or even falling down the cellar stairs. To be a gringo in Mexico, that is euthanasia." It was the kind of dark humour that only Bierce could summon in the face of his own mortality. In December 1913, Bierce crossed the border into Mexico. From there, his trail grows faint. The last confirmed sighting places him in Chihuahua, accompanying Pancho Villa's forces. Some say he was killed during the siege of Ojinaga in January 1914, a casualty of war, but no one knows for certain. Bierce vanished without a trace, leaving behind only his words and a legacy of unanswered questions. And so the theories began. Scholars speculated he may have been executed by Villa's men, his body left to rot in the desert. Others believed his final letters were a clever ruse, a theatrical ending for a man who despised convention. Perhaps he never went to Mexico at all. Perhaps Bierce, who wrote so often of death, chose his own in the solitude of some unknown place. But there are darker whispers about Bierce's fate, stories that suggest his disappearance was no ordinary death. Some claim his fascination with the macabre led him to seek out forbidden knowledge, to test the very boundaries of life and death he so vividly described in his writing. There are tales of a man matching Bierce's descriptions seen wandering ghost towns in the Mexican desert, his eyes hollow, his voice speaking in riddles. Others report hearing his name whispered in the winds that sweep across Ojinaga's battlefield, as if his spirit remains tethered to the violence he sought. In truth, Ambrose Bierce's end is as unknowable as the man himself. He wrote often of the fragility of reality, the thin veil that separates us from the void. Perhaps he crossed that veil on his own terms, disappearing not just from the world, but from history itself. He once wrote, "Nothing matters, nothing at all." And yet his vanishing has haunted us for over a century, a story more chilling than any he could have imagined. So the next time you feel the pull of the unknown, remember Ambrose Bierce, a man who gazed into the abyss, and perhaps in the end stepped willingly into its embrace. The question is not where he went, but whether he ever intended to return. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Eerie Whispers Official for more spooky real-life content. Thanks for watching, and remember, let the whispers guide you.